You're live. Thank you. And today is Monday.
This meeting is being recorded. This meeting is being transcribed.
Good morning. Today is Monday, October the 2nd. This is the Cosmetology and Barber Examiners regularly scheduled board meeting. My name is Roxana Gamusio. I am the executive director, and I will turn it over to our chairman, Ron Gillihan, to get us started.
Good morning. This meeting is called to order. Morning. This meeting of the Cosmetology.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Anita Charlton is not here. Ron Gillihan?
Here.
Thank you. Monica Lemons?
Here.
Thank you. Judy McAllister?
Here.
Thank you. David McElreath?
Here.
Thank you. Jeffrey Moran? Here. Thank you. Patricia Parsons? Thank you. Becky Russell?
Here.
Thank you. And Amy Tanksley? Here. Thank you. We have quorum, Chairman Gillihan.
Thank you very much. Just a business order here at the end of the public. At this time, it's always been our custom to recognize our guests that are participating here. So I see we have a nice audience of young folks. Do we have a school represented out here today? Cone High School, great. Thank you guys for coming. I hope you enjoy the meeting today, and I hope you don't get too bored with us. We'd also like to welcome our folks participating online. Next order of business is the approval of the August 2023 minutes. Are there?
I make a motion they be approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Roxana, we're ready for the next.
Thank you very much, Chairman Gillihan. I want to take a quick moment to brief the board and those watching and participating virtually. We have had a new individual join us. So today I want to introduce Jesse Gentry. He is not only with the legal division, but supervising attorney, and he's helping us through today's meeting. Hugh Cross has taken a different role within the state, and so we're wish him very, all the best. He said to say goodbye to you all. He loved working with the Cosmetology and Barber Board, so I know we will miss him. Jesse, anything for the board at this time?
No, I don't have anything.
He will interrupt us if we're missing anything or if he has any questions, but otherwise we will proceed. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Members, on your iPads, we will get started with our schools. The first school before you is DAY College of Cosmetology. And we have on the meeting Miss Amanda Young. Miss Young is participating to answer any questions you might have. She owns two separate campuses at this time. One is in Jackson and another is in Paris, Tennessee. This particular location that's before you has submitted the floor plan, enrollment agreement, catalog contingency plan, and she's available to answer any questions you have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Young, thank you for joining us. This is a new school.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us just a little bit about your programs here?
Okay. We started in 2018. We've added a location in Paris, Tennessee, and now in Selmer, Tennessee. We're opening a full cosmetology school in Selmer. School's named after my son, D.A.Y. David Austin Young, who passed away in 2018. So it's in honor of him.
This is a full cosmetology program, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you have just a couple of questions for you as I went through your package. I noticed that in your enrollment documents, aesthetics and manicure, I did not see any option to select the instructor program on that document. I believe it's probably just a line missing there.
Okay, we will add that on the structure. Yeah.
For general information, I need to ask you, are you doing the apprentice program as well?
We are, yes, sir.
In your general information,
It's cutting out really bad. I'm so sorry. Can't hear anything. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. They're looking at their papers, Ms. Young. Give them a second, and you'll hear Chairman Gillihan.
Okay.
slide 23.
He's found the information about apprenticeship.
Do you intend to offer hybrid program?
Yes, sir, we do.
Ron, your mic, I think, isn't coming on all the time. Thank you. Sorry.
What is your format for the hybrid program?
We meet on campus Tuesday and Thursday from 5 to 8, and then we do online via Teams Wednesday and Fridays.
Is that program synchronous or asynchronous? Is everything being live?
Everything is live. We record it live with an instructor present.
Did you tell me in your documents where you have your plan listed to keep all of your full-time and part-time students files separate and what your backup method is? I couldn't find that.
Yes, sir. 1 second.
It'll be page 3 under full-time and part-time hours. Right before login method.
Oh, thank you very much. What is your backup method?
And we have that.
Are your students, are they logging in electronically, or do you have a paper backup for that?
Yes, sir.
We have
both. We have a sign-in sheet, and then they have a name badge they scan that clocks them in.
That'll be on page 3 in our contract. And that'll be login method.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You talk about your part-time students. Can you tell me their how they will be getting their hours?
Part-time students, we do from on campus 8:30 to 1:30, Tuesday through Friday.
I didn't see that particular.
So class begins at 9. We get there at 8:30, but class begins at 9.
It's on page 3.
Page 3.
So I'm on
Under-
page 3, and it does talk about. Let's see. Class begins at 9, followed by a 15-minute break, and then at 10, part-time students are allowed to take 18 hours a week. But it didn't tell, other than the fact that they have to be there for their theory from 9 to 10. It doesn't really say at what time they will be leaving school. So
Okay.
if you all will just clarify that in that section.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Have you all made connections with salon professionals to place your apprentice students with?
We have, as they come in, most of the time they already have a salon in mind, so we, make sure we have their information and their contracts filled. Yeah.
We also have people that also contact us to ask us if we have anyone that does that, and then we lead them in that direction also.
Okay. In the cost of the program, it looks like you have a cost identified, but in that cost, it doesn't state if the books and kit are included in the price of the tuition or if there's additional costs for those. And it can be either way, but it does need to be included in the cost, so they're clear that they have paid for their books and kit with their tuition, or that they will have additional cost.
Okay.
Does anyone else have a question? At this point, we would need a motion regarding this application.
I make a motion that it be approved.
A second.
Motion and a second to approve. Discussion. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you so much.
And members, this would be a field inspector only, correct?
As a new school.
Yes, but they have two other campuses. And in a minute, we'll discuss the board member appointment. I just didn't want to miss any of these motions. So this would be field inspector only. Thank you. Thank you, members, and congratulations, Ms. Young. Next is Sandra Academy of Salon Services. This is a new branch of Cosmetology and Barber School. Ms. Clark is participating on the call. This starts on page 32 on your iPads. This application, this school again is already a licensed school for cosmetology and barber. This new branch is in Morristown. Ms. Clark owns a school in New Tasselwell and has been operating since 2009. I'll turn it over to you, Chairman Gillihan, for any questions you have. And these documents are lengthier than normal. This is an accredited school, so she's provided everything for your review. Yes, we have two separate applications. You'll see one application and then the other one right next to it before the floor plan. You're welcome.
Ms. Clark, thank you for joining us. I did have a couple of notes on yours as well.
Yes, sir.
I apologize if I'm not going in a particular order. My little notes here on your application are a little bit scattered, but in your table of fees, I know you know you have a couple of tables of fees, I guess, for each program there. The table of fees does not include the barber program, so all of your other items I did notice were in there, but the barber program specifically was not listed on that.
Are you looking at the enrollment agreement for the barber or the enrollment agreement for cosmetology?
Clear page.
Is it the barber, Shannon?
Can you tell me what page that is in your documents on the barbers?
Is it right there? Yes, I see that. I have, I'm trying to look at my computer as I look at this other one. I'm logged onto Teams. Give me just a moment. If that is not in there, I will correct it immediately.
Right.
But the fees are the same as the cosmetology, because we charge the same fees for the 1,500-hour program, both of them. So I will correct that immediately.
It appeared that that's one of those little oversight things that you had all the rest of the information about that, but you had several programs listed elsewhere, so that was just not on that one. Also, if members, I guess if we can look at page 160 documents. I don't believe the Barber curriculum is correctly listed there. We need to take a look at that. While we're finding that page, do you intend to offer anything as an online course?
Yes, sir. We do plan to offer this hybrid as well. We're going to be using Milady SEMA as the platform, along with we run a Zoom class as well. So we will be documenting through the SEMA hours that they're logged on when they're doing their book work. And we will have our instructors run a full Zoom program and document the time there. We have them log in and state their name and the time that they have logged in the chat so that we have documentation. And she also runs a sheet to keep track of time other than just what we're, looking at in SEMA with the documentation. So we're tracking the time two ways.
Okay. And this is all synchronous. Everything is live and supervised, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
According to your page 8, it's hour 57. Down at the bottom, it says our virtual learning is asynchronous.
We can fix that.
So it will be synchronous, and it will need to say that in your contract, please. As far as the curriculum, Ron was talking about the Barber curriculum is not accurate. None of the curriculums are accurate. What you're saying you're going to do, and then what the state board requires, you've got both of those listed. So you say what your curriculum is, and then I feel like at the end you just kind of copied and pasted what the board requires, but those two things don't match. So, for instance, in your curriculum that your school is using, one of the things say 200 hours at the discretion of the instructor. That's not accurate. Every hour is accounted for in the curriculum that's written by the state. So you will need to remove your curriculum that you want to teach and teach the curriculum that's required.
Okay. We go by the Milady curriculum. Is what we are using in our school. And then that was wrote a long time ago, the 200 hours. As we use extra time, if a student excels, we have students that, can excel, and then they need more extra things one-on-one. And then we also work with a lot of vocational rehabilitation students who learn on a slower level, and we try to give those extra hours for more attention and things that they're not doing well in or that they may need more work with. So we try to individual work with our students and get a plan for them academically to help each individual student. And once a month, I do evaluations with our instructors and with the students to kind of see, did they do good in hair cutting, or do they need more time in hair coloring, or what is their weakness, so that we can work on those weaknesses with our students.
I do understand what you're saying, and you can use any curriculum that you choose. You can choose to use My Lady, and you can fulfill the state's requirement using the book of your choice. However, if a student is doing poorly, let's say in hair cutting, but they need extra time in chemicals, that's going to throw off that balance of 300 hours in general, 600 hours in chemical, and 600 hours in physical. So you can't remove 200 hours from one area and put it in another because a student's struggling. You have to be able to work those hours into the areas that the students need according to the curriculum that is written by the state board.
Okay, I will fix that.
Can you tell me what your course curriculum is for the Barber instructor program, your hours, and the apportionment of those hours?
Yes, it is a 450-hour program. I wrote that program before the changes came a long time ago where we are now doing 300. I've got that program approved for NACAS at 450 hours. And so I just left it at 450 hours to keep from doing the change, to keep from having all the extra cost and fees that would be in with NACAS. And then the extra 150 hours, we use those in business and trying to get them ready for success as being a teacher.
Okay, I really do understand all the things you mentioned there. There's a couple of things that you said, though, that are going to need to be addressed. God bless you. First of all, if you're requiring this curriculum to be 450 hours, that exceeds the state's requirements, and it would not be permissible for you to require that without having received prior authorization from the state, and then there is a small percentage of hours that can be once you have shown. Next thing out a little bit there is that since you mentioned NACAS, you should be aware that NACAS requires you to be in compliance with all state regulations. So if that program changed, you really don't have much choice. You have to change that. And it should have been done when that occurred. I'm very familiar with NACAS, so I know what their requirements are. So you probably want to take a quick look at that. I'm sure they'll try to work with you. The instructor curriculum would absolutely have to be changed, and then contractually that would have to be stated as well.
Sorry, your mic has cut off. Can you still hear me?
Yes, thank you. This mic is giving us a little trouble today. I would advise you strongly to look at your NACAS requirements, but we're not really concerned about them. We're just concerned with meeting the state requirements here. So that is a change that would have to be affected.
Okay. Yes, we can definitely fix that, yes.
In your documents, I think most schools now, I guess we've kind of reminded everybody enough of this, but you have your statements that say that the student has received copies of their enrollment agreements and all their documents. However, the rule requires that you have to have a statement in there that says those have been delivered prior to payment of any fees. So just that short statement is actually missing as well. Okay.
Okay.
Would you tell me about your apprentice hybrid program?
We are not doing apprentice at our school at this time. We're not offering or allowing that.
That's fine. Takes care of that. Are you in your instructor program? Can Could you indicate to me where you have the statement regarding 3 years of licensure prior to enrolling as an instructor trainee? Have it in there?
I do have it in there. Let me review these documents right quick so I can give you an exact page.
Board members, on page 101 on our iPads is the statement for the cosmetology instructor, and that one is at the 300 hours. Clark, that's your page 42 of 71.
Okay.
The same statement would have to be under the barber instructor hours, but at this point, as Chairman Gillihan mentioned, that has to be a 300-hour curriculum, just like the instructor program for cosmetology.
Okay. Yes, I can definitely fix that.
Did you see the bullet point on the 3 years? Ron?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you, sir.
Can you take a look at your page 9? I just had a question about something that's on there. It says crossover cosmetology, hybrid cosmetology crossover. And then it's got general 100, chemical 100, and physical 100. Can you tell me what that statement is referring to?
That is a 300-hour program, the crossover. And so it's 100 general hours and then 100 chemical and 100 physical.
Crossing from what to what?
Okay, if we're talking about the cosmetology refresher hybrid, is that what you're talking about?
I don't know. It's in the center of the page above graduation requirements. It says crossover cosmetology, hybrid cosmetology. I don't understand what they're crossing.
I may be able to help. Licensed as
Ron? Your mic, I'm sorry, sir.
if you're licensed as a cosmetologist and want to obtain barber credentials, they're calling that a cross.
Okay, so I'm okay with you calling it a crossover program, but you probably should mention that it's cosmetology to barbering or barbering to cosmetology. It just doesn't say, it's saying crossover cosmetology, hybrid cosmetology. So I didn't understand if you were meaning you're leaving traditional cosmetology and moving into a hybrid setting, or anyway, if you'll just clear that up, if that is what you mean from cosmetology to barbering, then if you'll put that statement in there.
Yes, ma'am.
And on that note as well, on page 58 of your documents, 188 for us, the same language exists for the crossover barber, hybrid barber crossover. So it's going both ways.
Yes, sir.
Have any other questions or concerns?
I'm concerned about all the items that you addressed. I don't think it is tight enough yet to gain approval.
All our programs are approved through NICAS, our accreditation agency, and the 150 hours with the barber instructor, I can correct that immediately. I do not currently have any students enrolled in that program. And for this Morristown campus, we are not open over there, and we're not going to be open over there for a couple months until we get through Tennessee Higher Education Commission and we get through the NICAS Commission. And it's very important that we are successful at this meeting because I am lined up to be on the other committee meetings for the other state and accrediting bodies. So if you would please allow me to correct this, I can get this over to you by the end of the day. And we do not currently have any students enrolled in either of those programs at this time. I don't have anyone in Barber Crossover or in the Cosmetology Refresher, Barber Instructor. I have no students enrolled at this time.
Are these the same documents that you're using in?
Ms. Clark?
You cut out again, Mr. Dillon.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to get really close here. Are these the same documents that you're using in the other school?
Yes, but I will correct them all immediately.
If you have students who are already contracted under these terms and agreements, then that might involve some work with the individuals to amend contracts. However,
Sir, at this time, I don't have any students in these programs that we've talked about. I have no enrollments for those programs at this time. The crossover or the Barber crossover or the cosmetology refresher or the Barber instructor, I haven't really advertised for that, and we're in a real small area in Tazewell. It's a very small town here, and I've just not had anyone apply for that, but I wanted to be approved to offer it to someone that wanted to be a cosmetologist and come over to a barber. That's why we looked at adding these programs to our school. We wanted to try to help people if we could.
Amy, your mic.
Are the major concerns here the curriculum, the details to the curriculum, or the over-detailed section here that doesn't match what we have?
right, the curriculum is going to present some real problems, and it'll present problems for her down the road with the other bodies as well. You mentioned other state regulators. Are you speaking of Tennessee Higher Education Commission?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I thought so. Right, if those are not cleared up, TEC won't approve as well, and they'll kick everything back.
Yeah, man, on the new school application, those are pretty easy to delete, and I mean, essentially they're on our website, right? So that's I don't want to say a copy-paste exercise, but
She actually has copied and pasted them. She just has like her own and then ours.
fair.
Yeah, they need to match the states.
Okay. Yes, I can remove those immediately.
One other thing that we haven't discussed, can you tell me about the hours of operation? It appears that your school is open for 48 hours per week, but the students are only getting 40 hours per week. So who is going to school on what days?
Our school has been open and approved ever since 2009 for Monday through Saturday, but I don't have any of students who have signed up for Saturdays. So we would be open to that, but no one wants to come to school on Saturday. But if we did get a student that would come to school on Saturday, we would love to accommodate them. And we come 8:30 to 5.
I feel like a lot of these things can be fixed in a timely manner, and if she could get them corrected and sent in to Roxana, and use your discretion if you think they've equaled out.
I think so, based on prior schools, if the members are in agreement. I have my list I'm happy to go over to make sure I don't miss something. So we pointed to the fact that the fees are not listed in the Barber program. That would need to be added. She did state that it's the same as the cosmetology. The Barber instructor program changed maybe 5 years ago and reduced the hours from 450 to 300. And even though NACAS approves it, it would have to be our statute, which is the 300 hours. Using SEMA would have to be clarified that an instructor is with the students at all times, even if those are virtual hours. We've got the required curriculum, obviously, is pasted from the website, but the additional one that is hers is clashing with it, so it would need to be removed for the enrollment agreement to be adequate to carry out. The crossover statement is not clear that it is a crossover from a licensed master barber to cosmetologist or a licensed cosmetologist to barber. It doesn't need to be broken down by general, physical, and chemical hours, but that would be her choice. But it does need to be stated what it is. Those are the points that I have. If the members are okay with it, or if I've missed something, Chairman Gilliam, I'm happy to review those if the board is okay with giving me that authority.
She'd indicated that one of the programs was asynchronous instead of synchronous.
Oh, changing that.
Typo.
Thank you.
Heard David's concerns, and we've had our other discussions here. I think there's one thing that I do have a large concern about, and since it's not on the table as part of this application, since she's using these same documents and language in the previous school, I think appropriate. I'd like to have the inspector to double check on their next inspection to make sure that has been stated and brought into. We have a motion on this application.
I make a motion to approve with the changes and for Roxana to make sure they're all in place.
We have a motion and a second to approve with the customary inspections and changes. Is there any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no.
No.
No. For myself. Guys have it. Motion
Guys.
carries.
Members, this would require a field inspector. Is that correct? Field inspector. Okay. Ms. Clark, I apologize. I interrupted you. What did you say, ma'am?
I wanted to thank the board. I'll thank you all for your time.
Well, thank you, and good luck with your program. We hope you can get those changes done immediately and get this thing rolling.
Yes, sir, I will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, board members. Before we move on to page 203, which is our next school, I have a situation that came up on one of our previous schools that I'd like to walk through with you and hopefully get your approval. The school is Nisha School of Cosmetology. This school is in West Tennessee, and it was due to be inspected by a field inspector and board member. Ms. Tanisha Noble-Weir was approved at the October meeting. The field inspector was able to complete the inspection. However, we were not able to get a board member to do the inspection. And so I had the inspector, before going out, make sure that he reviewed absolutely everything that a board member would look at. She had students ready to start, so I did not feel it was right to delay her almost 3 weeks. And so she was approved, has students there. I would like the members to approve the fact that we had a field inspector go, and the inspection was 100. He was very impressed with everything. So if we can take care of that motion to make sure that it's okay with the members. If we wanted to still do a follow-up inspection, absolutely we could. Right now, Ms. Sappenfield is the only member in West Tennessee that would be able to go. And so if we can clarify this inspection sheet, then I would like us still for a minute to talk about the board member inspections. So I would need a motion to accept the fact that just the field inspector completed that inspection.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. I'm sorry, you have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries.
Thank you, members. I appreciate it.
Sorry about that.
We've had this situation come up one other time where we, again, didn't feel it was right for the school to wait 3 or 4 weeks and have students wait that have already been waiting. And as you know, many times these schools work with me for 1 to 3 months before we present them. So it is a long period. I would like us to discuss and decide, I guess, the goal of a board member going to these inspections. As you know, our public members cannot inspect. Members associated with a school cannot inspect. So it really limits who's able to go. It's becoming very difficult for our members. And thank you to those that go. I know Monica, Amy has done dozens of schools, if not more. Anita has gone. Mr. Jeffrey was kind enough to go recently. Judy, but all the areas of Tennessee aren't opening at the same rate, so we're picking on just a couple members for the most part. The board allows, or the statute allows, a field inspector to go, or board member or director. So it is no longer mandatory for a board member to have to go. Years ago, and Ms. Judy will remember, every year board members had to go on the annual inspections, and that was, you can just imagine. So with that in mind, I just want us to think about the good that comes out of the board members going, and obviously there is a lot of that. But if the field inspector can do it, is that an option we want to pull away from? And I leave it up to you. What we've been doing is on the apprenticeship schools, we are only sending a field inspector because it's a theory classroom. Those schools that already have open branches and are in good standing, we're only sending a field inspector. But on the brand new ones, we're sending a board member, and those dates are taking a while to coordinate. So I welcome your thoughts.
Tell me the difference between the two. Are they looking for something different?
They really are not. Here's what we do, and again, Ms. McAllister has a lot of history that she can add to it, and then we have new members. The goal with our new members is I'm available to walk them through the inspection sheet, any questions they have. They will always do at least one inspection with a field inspector, and then they should be going to inspect and guide the school owners. They're here at the meetings with you, and so the thought is if they're there to help, guide, answer their questions, then it's a very productive inspection because we're setting them up for additional success. That would be the goal. That isn't always what I think is happening. And so again, I question, do we really need to go as we look at time commitments, finances? I mean, you all are volunteers for the most part when you go, and so it is time out away from your clients. It's just something to think about. The field inspectors, for the most part, can look at all those things. They're not bringing into the inspection your thoughts and concerns and ideas. I can't.
Do we have enough field inspectors?
Oh, absolutely. The inspectors, so if
this?
today we end, I foresee at least 2 of these schools ready to be inspected. They'll be able to go within 2 to 4 days. The statute says 10 days, so they can make it. It's getting that the board member.
I'm fairly confident in their ability to do that, especially because we have seen pictures from a school that was questioned, and so they provided pictures to us. So I expect that any inspector would do the same for us.
And just for you all to know, so in the event that the school inspection doesn't go perfectly, right, then they will send the inspection sheet to me to have the conversation. What needs to be corrected? I will review the floor plan to make sure what you're seeing and approved is what we saw. What are the concerns? Sometimes it's a piece of equipment that's easy to get, shouldn't hold them back from opening. So it's rare that we wouldn't open them, and it's rare that the inspectors even have a concern because they're just like your shops. They're connecting directly with the owner. They know when they're coming, should have everything ready.
And I just asked this, so I love school visits. I've gotten to so many over the last almost 9 years. And I've learned a lot. I mean, that's been my takeaway from this is, I've never run a school, I've never owned a school, but I've now been into a lot of schools. Could we make it optional? I mean, if a board member is able to go, I, for context, usually meet the field inspector at the school and we do the inspection together, which is, I have found very helpful. Could we be looped into that when we're able to go, but not mandatory?
Absolutely. I think that is an ideal situation because
Okay.
I do agree with you that then everybody benefits. And it makes even our field inspectors, I think, stronger because they know what we're discussing, maybe if there's a concern.
Well, and it makes us better as a board.
Right.
I mean, and I'm thankful that Jeffrey, thank you for doing the last one around here. I do appreciate that. But you learn a lot, right? You get to meet the school owner, you get to see where the location is, you get to understand what they're doing. I do think there's benefit of board members going, but I do understand limited resources, and it makes it sometimes difficult to get there in an urgent matter.
Can they even do like a Zoom if they run across a problem? They could call the board member in that area maybe to walk through it with them if they needed to.
They would likely reach me or the
Okay.
attorney if there was a problem. But we definitely could. The field inspectors have an iPad, as you know. Their phones are able to reach us at all times. If the members are comfortable with Amy's decision, then as we open new schools, and I think that's what our next one might be, but we definitely have a new one, then once the field inspector has coordinated a date and time, then my path would be to let the board member in the area know this is the date and time if you're available. What I want us to steer away from is delaying them any further. If that's okay with the members, then that's what we'll do. And it would be at the discretion of that board member to be able to shift things around. And I know, Amy, you've moved your calendar around. So, and sometimes if they can't make it, then we proceed with just the inspection from the field inspector.
Yeah, but I mean, I also recognize that there are fewer schools in Middle Tennessee where I'm located, and so I'm not being asked weekly. I would imagine in some of these areas where we have a lot of schools opening, that's a much heavier lift for just a few people. So I'm totally on board with this.
And Roxanne, one of the takeaways for me in regards to it, though, is the fact that one of the things I would suggest for anybody who's going is the expectation, because initially, even going with the field inspector, I didn't know the expectation and stuff. And so once I did get to go, I did learn a lot, to your point, and stuff. And even going this last time, learning a lot, getting to talk to what their goals are and stuff like that, and what they're doing, it is very helpful. So I think that is something that a board member needs to take an opportunity when they get a chance to go, and that expectation, I think, needs to be put forth too, of what we're going, what we're looking for, and to understand that we're there for them as well, public also.
Do you need a motion for that?
I don't think so, because I think
Okay.
as the schools come up, I'll add that to the question for the members to decide. And anytime we have a board member available, then absolutely one would be able to go. And if we don't, we'll proceed with approving the school. Sounds good. Thank you very much. Next members on our agenda and iPad, starting with page 203. This is Tri-Cities Academy of Aesthetics. This is a new specialty aesthetics school, and Miss Elizabeth Moore is on the call to assist us. The school is located in Johnson City. The application, floor plan, enrollment agreement, catalog, and contingency plan were submitted timely. Ms. Moore, I will let you answer questions as our chairman goes ahead and looks at the application.
Thank you.
Ms. Moore, thank you for joining us here. Your school is strictly an aesthetics program, is that correct?
Yes, we're doing aesthetics and instructors program.
Can you tell me a little bit about your school?
Yeah, this is a startup. This is a new adventure for me. I have been working at Austin Springs Spa, located in Carnegie Hotel in Johnson City, Tennessee, since 2006. I have been an esthetician for 8 years, and I have been doing a lot of training for the spa. And it's about a $3 million spa nowadays. So we have a lot of turnover sometimes, and a lot of employee coming in. I train probably at least 5 to 10 employees a year. So I just saw the need for an aesthetics program in this area by doing that, and decided to go along this adventure at the beginning of this year. And actually just completed my instructor's program and got my license in the mail this weekend. So I'm ready to teach this school myself, along with Miss Laura and her help with her experience as an instructor.
It's exciting when you get that little green paper in the mail, is it not?
It is. I've had so much excitement in the past month over this. It's just been a completely new adventure for me.
I only had a couple of items here that I couldn't find very easily in your documents. You probably can tell me. Where is your plan in your policies to keep part-time and full-time students separate?
We are only a part-time program. We're only offering Monday through. Yes, yeah. So that's why I didn't specify that yet. I just haven't got to the point to doing full-time at this moment anyway.
That's fine. Your backup method for logging those student hours? How are you recording student hours?
Yes, we have Obviously, we have our hybrid program listed on here. So for that, they are allowed to stay at home if they would like to, or at a different location Mondays and Tuesdays. However, they have to be, learning at the same time, synchronous learning. And in those methods, we would be tracking through SEMA, and we will also be taking a verbal oral with the teacher that's doing instruction at that moment. So we'll have those two. And then for regular in-person learning, we're going to still take roll with the teachers, but they will have a sign-in sheet, plus we are using an easy clocker system. That way we can have a double backup other than our just paper method.
Probably
So
need
we're
to
having
have,
3 methods technically.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. You probably need to have a statement in there somewhere in your catalog, your policies, or somewhere indicating what that's going to be.
Okay.
Can you indicate where your transfer student policy is?
Yes, sir. I have that on. That would be on page 20 of the enrollment agreement.
Very good. Did I see information regarding an instructor training in your program?
Yes, sir. That would be on page. Here, on page 6.
I'm specifically looking for your statement in your documents that says that if they're enrolling in the instructor program, that they have to be licensed for 3 years prior.
It's on the top of page
Oh,
6.
yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
First line.
All
Oh, my
good.
gosh.
It's a lot of stuff.
Oh, my gosh. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than a question or concern with your school, I would rather like to offer you a commendation. Thank you so much for copy and pasting the curriculum perfectly. And secondly, I
You're
love
welcome.
the fact that you have a statement in there that asynchronous work is up to the student if they would like to do that, but no hours will be provided for asynchronous work. So thank you. That was awesome.
That is a very strong
Thanks.
statement. I agree with what you put in there.
That comes from that new instruction that I just went through recently.
I make a motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second to approve this application. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Congratulations and thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you all so much. You all have a great day.
Congratulations. And if you'll let me know when you're ready for inspection, Ms. Moore, it would be a field inspector. And then if we can coordinate a board member at the same time, we will do so.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I look forward to speaking with you.
Thank you. Take care. Thank you, board members. Next, we are on page 234. This is Cly Barber Academy. It's a new barber school. Mr. Jay Holmes is appearing on the call, participating on the call to answer any questions you have. The school is located in Memphis. You have before you the application, floor plan, enrollment agreement, catalog, and contingency plan. Mr. Holmes, thank you for being on the call.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Appreciate you joining us today. Can you tell us a little bit about your barber program?
Yes, sir. First of all, I want to thank the board for the opportunity to appear. I've been a barber since 2007. Actually, been an instructor since 2013. In my school, I like to focus on the details, provide the students with thorough education, with skills and knowledge to be successful, professional in our industry.
Notes that I've made on your program. I have a few questions.
Yes, sir.
Are any of your programs going to be hybrid or virtual programs?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's talk about that just a little bit. Can you tell me how you are planning on delivering that?
Yes, sir. We're going to be in person and hybrid Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 3 for our full-time students, and we're going to go virtual for our part-time students from 8:30 to 12.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about the virtual component of this. Are they going to be live, synchronous, or are they going to be trying to submit things on their own?
No, sir. They're going to be synchronous, and we're going to use SEMA and also using Zoom.
Okay. Notes that I have here at the top of my list really are concerning some of your curriculum issues and a couple of inconsistencies that I have seen. Let me just start kind of here at the top of them.
Okay.
The number of clock hours, I believe, have, of course, correct clock hours. But whenever I do the calculations on the hours of attendance that you have listed, your hours and weeks don't really kind of line up here, and they're inconsistent throughout the documents. And one place you'll say this number of hours per week and this many weeks. Elsewhere it'll be a different number of weeks and hours. Okay, there's not that consistency throughout, so I'm not certain that a student would know exactly what they're getting there. Also, with that same thought process, in multiple places through your documents, you have inconsistency in your costs and charges. There are places where you're saying this program is X number of dollars, and then elsewhere you have different prices. Okay.
Yes, sir. I've noticed that, and I've actually made the changes already. I just have to get those emailed to Roxella.
Is there a reason that you hadn't already submitted those timely, or?
The reason I noticed it because I was watching in preparation for today. I was watching the other meetings on YouTube, and I was checking my documents, and I noticed it after the fact. But I've actually made the changes already, and I just need to submit those to Roxana.
Okay, I noticed that in your requirements for education that you do mention GEDs, but I believe the GED or HISET exams need to state that they're at least a 10th grade equivalency. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Did you mention that that one of these programs is going to be the apprentice program?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So on your page 3 in your enrollment agreement, you do not have any selection that the student has no option to select that particular program to identify that that's the one they're in. In your time frames, as I mentioned already, you're mentioning that 30 hours per week, but that does not come out to be 15 months. So you've got some miscalculations and whatnot in those programs that a student might be misled on the length of their program and what their requirements are. For your part-time, again, if I believe you indicated it's 24 months, at 17 and a half hours per week. 17 and a half hours a week is not going to equivalent out to 24 months for the program. And the state does have minimum numbers of hours for attendance, whether it's full-time or part-time.
Okay, I definitely get that changed.
Your application fee is different throughout your documentation as well as the cost of the program. In fact, it's significantly different in the numbers. Program hours are not consistent, and they don't match the state minimums in your curriculum for the hybrid and the apprentice program. So I guess I'd like you to tell me a little bit more about that. On your hybrid and apprentice program, how many hours are they doing in-house? Are those two separate programs for you?
Yes, they're doing 750 hours in-house, and I have some barbers that has 10 years experience and has already committed to being a part of the program.
That's what is sticking out in my mind is the apprentice program is a specific program and has specific requirements, and the hybrid. While the hybrid program is a term that's being used a lot, I'm not sure that that's quite meeting the same requirements as the apprentice program. It's very specific requirements in the apprentice program. Okay. In your enrollment documents, there's there's not an individual schedule or program so that a student knows that I'm supposed to be at school from 8 o'clock until from 8 o'clock until noon, or what hours of it that they're actually to be in attendance. So there's no way for the student to be able to determine whether he was on that schedule or not. Okay.
Okay. So that should be in the enrollment form.
Right.
And,
some of these requirements are specific to parts of your documents. Some things can be in the enrollment agreement, or some things are required to be in the enrollment agreement. Other things can be in your catalog or other policies. So it's very specific on what needs to be there.
Okay. Well, I definitely have it in my catalog, but I will make sure I get it in my enrollment agreement.
The course curriculums, particularly in the instructor program and all the other programs, is not correct on the specific hours that are required. So you've got some issues with your curriculum there. Can you tell me where your method of backing up and logging student hours is located?
Let's see. Well, we're going to log in electronically as well as manually. We will have a login for the students to sign when they come in and sign in.
Right. Almost every school that we speak to, that if we don't see it in here, everybody will say the same thing. We're going to do this electronically. We're going to do it on paper. But it actually needs to be in your documentation. So can you tell me where it is in the documentation? It has to be a stated policy in your documents.
Okay, let me find it real quick. I'm sure it's in here. Looks like it's on page 20. Registering hours, state board with cosmetology and barbering.
Page 260 for us.
That is exactly what I was looking for. So let's look for part 2 of that, which is where is your statement that identifies that all of the part-time and full-time students will be, their files will be stored separately?
Yeah, well, I think I will actually. Well, I will have to add that.
Mr. Holmes, I'm sorry. Well, Chairman Gillihan's looking at his notes. If you had said that you'd caught the fact that the hours weren't agreeing everywhere or the cost, I think that in that early part of your enrollment agreement is where you could add, because that's where you have your full-time and part-time, just how you'll be tracking those hours and kept separately. And then on the 10th grade education for the barbers, that is the minimum requirement is 2 years of high school or 10th grade education. But if you have high set or GED, now a new law passed that basically just says or equivalency. Since you're making changes, you may want to just tweak that a little bit, just a suggestion.
Okay, will do.
Thank
you.
On your page 12 of your documents, and that's 252 for us, you do have a copy of the state's curriculum there, but it seems to be incomplete. You don't have the hours for the general, chemical, or physical actually totaled out here for what those are. And then in each of your programs, you do have kind of black and gold tables here that indicate some sort of breakdown of times and hours. Those are not really consistent as I'm seeing it for the state's curriculum. So that's one of those that tends to be occurring quite a bit, that you're creating your own curriculums. And really have to follow the state's curriculum.
Definitely, I'll make sure I add those hours, but I'm definitely using the state's curriculum.
Right, but whenever I'm looking at this document as a student and I see that, which one am I supposed to be thinking that I'm doing? There's not. It has to be consistent.
Right.
I think your easiest course of action, since you're correcting this, the curriculum that's on page 12, that is correct. That is the one that's copied. However, it needs to say general hours, and that should say 240. That's how many general hours are required. And so then break it down, just beside the word general hours, tell them how many hours that is, how many chemical hours, and how many physical. But the wording of that is proper. And then remove the black and gold section from the page before. And your curriculum will be fixed.
Okay, will do. I appreciate that.
Your statement regarding the instructor's license, that the student must be licensed for 3 years. Okay, thank you.
We know where it's at.
Thank you. And then also your statement regarding the apprentice program, that it must be completed within 150% of the time frame.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Regarding the apprentice program, you're required to have a statement in the enrollment documents that the the instructor program, that the student must have been licensed for 3 years.
Okay. I actually have it in the catalog, but I'll definitely get it in
The
the
apprentice for
the enrollment.
150 hours or 150%.
Yes, I'm sorry, I said instructor, I meant apprentice. Thank you. We got that cleared up.
We do need to see that apprentice hours cannot exceed 150% of the time. That one I did not find either.
Okay, apprentice hours. 150%. Okay.
Those were the notes I have. I realize that some of these seemingly were redundant because they were in several places. Mr. Holmes, I've got some concerns about your documents here. Much as David had earlier on a previous school, I've got some concerns here that there's just a lot of inconsistencies and a lot of stuff that need to be corrected. Anybody else?
I feel the same way about that.
I think a lot of the changes that are needed can be done easily. It's just that you're repeating yourself multiple times and nowhere does it is that part consistent. So that's my concern, is that not only that you correct it, but that you correct it in all locations in your documents.
Okay, and actually, like most of the inconsistencies, I've already correct, but I knew it was too late to turn in. But I've noted everything that you guys told me that I needed to correct, and I definitely will get it corrected and turned in as soon as possible, as soon as today.
Do we have any other input?
I just have a question. So, Roxana, when someone comes back to you, right, we've approved them with these corrections. This is for several that we've looked at already today. They correct them and send them to your office, and I'm assuming you review it once and it's either corrected and they move forward. You don't go back and forth with them another 15 times.
Not 15, but usually it's 2 or 3 times. So I go by my notes, and then often I go back to our recording of the meeting so that I don't miss something, and pinpoint to the best of my ability that it's caught everywhere. It's rarely just on one fix, but I attempt to say, the day of the meeting is all day, so anytime after that, and if you'll just send it to me on one email, it'll simplify it. And for the most part, the school owners are ready to open, as you can all imagine. So they will work with me to get them there. It just depends on the volume and how many sections they're updating.
So do you think you could have all this corrected and sent in to Miss Roxana? And maybe she'd have to go over like 2 times with these people or something?
Definitely. I've already noted the changes that need to be made, and also I'll go back and make sure that I haven't missed anything through YouTube.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a motion on this application?
I'll make the motion that it be approved subject to these changes being incorporated in the document and then the inspections that are required.
And I'd second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve with the corrected customary inspections. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And I would vote no. Congratulations, Ms. Holmes. Good luck with your school. We wish you every success in this, and we hope everything goes real well. Be sure to get those changes updated.
Okay, we'll do. I appreciate everyone. Everyone have a good day, and I definitely will get those changes made and represent for Tennessee, definitely.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes, and congratulations.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Board members, we're on to our next school. This is by Barber College. It's a new cosmetology school. This starts on page 270 of your iPads. Mr. Kendrick Jefferson is participating virtually. This school is in Memphis. The Barber School has been open since 2003. This is a new cosmetology school application. This was previously presented to the board at the June meeting as well as the August meeting with several changes that the members wanted to review at this meeting. So Mr. Jefferson put them all together and sent them my way. I will turn it over to you, Chairman Gillihan, for your questions.
Thank you for joining us, Mr. Jefferson. We appreciate it very much. We'll get right to your documents in just a second. I want to pause for 1 second and check on our visitors back here. How's our students doing? Have I put you to sleep yet? Okay.
The school owner.
Yep. So, Mr. Jefferson, I understand this has been resubmitted a couple of times and whatnot. I've gone through your documents and minimum notes here, I think. So I think something probably you could answer real quickly.
Yes, sir.
Am I seeing references to Title IV's methods of payment throughout your documents here? Are you an accredited school or are you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
Great. Perfect. This is probably one of the most minor things that I've noticed in a long time, but in case it was an oversight on your part, it may be exactly what you're intending to do. But on your page 2 of your documents, page 275 for us, you have I believe, a cost for overtime charges. I'm assuming for additional instructional charges for somebody who exceeds their program. Did you intend to have 25 cents as that cost?
Yes.
25 cents per hour. Okay. I saw it in there and it just stood out to me. That's highly unusual for me to see such a low amount. That's perfectly your prerogative to do. On page 5 and 278 for us, can you tell us a little bit about your hybrid program now, your virtual?
Yes, like I said, on the hybrid program, they will be using SEMA along with Zoom. Along with that, they have their choice to attend classes once every 10 days.
Are you intending for that program to be synchronous or asynchronous? Are you doing it again, virtually?
Sir? Yes, I am doing it virtual, live virtual.
Live virtual, okay. I noticed in your documents that you had an additional cost further into your documents regarding the virtual program. I believe that would need to be indicated in your enrollment agreement as well.
Oh, it is.
And then I still had difficulty finding your policy regarding how you're going to keep full-time and part-time students separate in their records.
Okay, that first question was on page 2. The other one should be on page 6.
Pardon me for just a moment. My iPad got off a little bit here.
Okay.
We're looking for the where the part-time and full-time records are kept. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And I haven't found it on page 2.
No, page 6.
6.
Okay, I think I'm finding something on our page 278 members. Let's take a look. Sorry, I'm still not just finding that one statement. So if you could look into that and take a maybe a fresh shot at where you're or how you're storing the full-time and part-time students separately on their files. On your apprenticeship program, do you have a statement that says that they must complete in 150% of the time?
I'm not gonna I'm not using apprenticeship.
So your virtual is not going to be the apprentice.
No.
Okay, takes care of that. Thank you. You are offering the instructor program, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then you probably have it in here, and I just missed it. But your statement that that the student has to be licensed for 3 years prior.
It's on page 6.
That's on 6.
Yeah.
That's on page 6.
279 of ours.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Let me talk a moment about your contingency plan. For us, that's on 279. Can you tell me a little bit about that? It looks like if something happened, then you're just going to go virtual and that's it. It says virtual indefinitely.
Yes. Yes. We would just go virtual. You wouldn't enroll any other students and just teach out to one specific hour.
My concern with this plan, while that might be okay if your students were in their last 150 hours or something like that, my concern with this would be, what if they had only attended school for 1 week when this happens? Would you teach the other, 1,470 hours online? That is a little concerning to me. I would.
Yes, if that was the case, but I do also have a relationship with my last landlord or whatever, and I do have space. If something more like that were to happen, I do have space available to move right back across the street from where I live.
Okay, so
if that was, the building is still there, everything is still there.
Okay, I'd like for you to add that to your contingency plan.
Okay.
Either that or relationships with another school. If something were to happen to you or your instructors, could you find a relationship with another school that would accept their hours?
Yes.
So.
Yeah, I could have that done by the end of the day.
Okay, the other thing that I had a question about, you've got a place in the document, I I could go back and find it, but that tells your hours of hours of operation, but it doesn't say when your students would be in school. So, for instance, Tuesday through Friday, you are open from 9 to 9, but we need to know like what students are there at what times. So, if you've got full-time students and some of them attend from 9 to 4 and the others 4 to 9 or whatever the case might be, that way a student knows when they're signing the enrollment what time they're supposed to be at school.
Okay.
Any other questions? Motion.
Am I on? I'll make a motion to accept the school as presented if anything needed to be changed or updated or corrected, but I think it sounds like a good school, ready to go.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you. Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you, sir. Thank the board. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Jefferson. If you'll send me those updates, then we'll coordinate your inspection, and it'll be a field inspector only. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Roxanne. Thank the board again.
Take care. Thank you, board members. Next, we have the Beauty Vault Institute of Cosmetology. This starts on your page 309. This is a new cosmetology apprenticeship school. Ms. Tamisha Rucker is on the call to answer any questions you have. The school is located in Memphis. It is located behind a salon. You have before you an application, the floor plan, enrollment agreement, catalog, and contingency plan. Chairman Gillihan, I'll turn it over to you for any questions.
Thank you again for coming and joining us and stand online with us this morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Roxana, what page did this start on our documents?
309.
309.
This is a full cosmetology program with aesthetics and manicuring, all of these.
Yes, but it's apprenticeship only.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can you tell us a little bit about your program, ma'am?
Yes. So the cosmetology apprenticeship program here at the Beauty Vault, it's a brand new school. It has been actually a long time goal of mine. I own a full service salon that will be in the front of the cosmetology apprenticeship program. I have been licensed for 13 years here in Tennessee. We employ independent contractors, and I'm now looking to create a fulfilling learning environment where we can educate based on the Tennessee state law, where we have 750 hours in theory classroom and 750 hours of practical under the supervising professional. So that's basically the program that we are reaching to start here for full cosmetology services.
So if you're going to offer cosmetology, manicuring, aesthetics, natural hair, all of the things, I'm only seeing the curriculum, which is correct for cosmetology, but I do not have any other curriculums that I was able to find.
Right. So the curriculum here that I have, which I have the course description for theory, permanent waving, chemical relaxing, hair color, hair and scalp shampooing, nails, skin and hair removal.
I do see the curriculum that you have, and board members, that curriculum is on our 331. And it appears to be correct for cosmetology. But if you are going to offer the other programs, then you must also have the curriculums for those as well.
Okay. Well, I'm offering for cosmetology. So I'll just stick with the cosmetology program.
Okay, so you're not going to offer manicuring and aesthetics, natural hair?
Not at this time.
That changes things quite a bit then, because your application is seeking approval on all of these programs.
It's a full cosmetology apprenticeship program, but I think what she's saying is she's not going to separately offer the standalone aesthetics or manicuring. Many of our cosmetology schools, full curriculum in the school or apprenticeship, only offer cosmetology, and over time, some do decide to separate and have aesthetic students and so forth. What those schools often do is when they are up for renewal, is then they will add that curriculum piece without necessarily having to be represented to the board. But I believe from at least what I'm hearing from Ms. Rucker, that right now, and I think she's the only instructor, if I'm not mistaken, she's maybe planning only on doing cosmetology and not the others. I think that's the board members' question. The only curriculum presented is for the full cosmetology, not all the separate ones.
Which covers
Correct.
everything.
Yes.
Yes.
So I guess the application, that's where I picked up all of the others. On the application, it says that, select what she wanted to offer, and she's got all of them selected. So I expected to see the curriculum from all.
Right. And I do apologize. I was a little confused when applying. I reached out to Ms. Roxana a few times to help me with that. So it was a little confusing, but it's just the cosmetology program. I'm not offering those programs separately at this time.
Oh, it's the 1,500-hour program.
Yes, correct.
In the apprenticeship style.
Yes.
Style. That's.
I do have a question, and Roxana, if you can help us with this. In the statute, if I'm not mistaken, to open a school, then the school, and if you have a school and a salon in the same building, the school has to have a separate entrance from the salon. Is that correct?
It has to be separated. I think we've opened at least one that has worked. We've inspected one or two where it hasn't, where there hasn't been a clear separation between the two. And so, and we've talked about, leases and the cost of leases. So I think the board, and on at least one of them, as long as the entrance, as long as you don't have to go through the entire shop, as long as it can be separated somehow, then depending on the space, it could work.
I just wanted to make sure that we're following the statute and not carving a new path.
Yep. Because it's a theory classroom, it couldn't work obviously for a traditional school. That would be very difficult because of the actual equipment. But for a theory classroom, as long as that classroom is separated from the shop somehow, I think we've been able to get that to work.
Right. Well, we do have two separate entrances here. The salon is totally in the front with the front entrance, and then the school apprenticeship program is in the back with the separate entrance. Separate restrooms, separate entrances.
Okay, I was just making sure that we weren't going against our own rules. So,
Yes, ma'am.
You may have told me this already, but are you intending to do any of this virtually?
No, sir. All in person.
I just ran across something, and I had just said that you did the curriculum well. However, you have listed a second curriculum. So, and I missed that the first time. So it looks like you're page 16. You'll need to remove that curriculum that was made by you and your staff, or whoever wrote this document, you'll remove that and just keep the state's curriculum in there.
Yes, ma'am.
Reading your documents, in the part that is identified as your enrollment agreement, I noticed that after that, and it is indicated that this is the 2-page document, several pages farther into your submission, there's another statement that this is the enrollment agreement. So I think you probably need to find one stopping spot for the enrollment agreement, the information that's in there. And have to include
Yes, sir.
it as such.
It appears that your, I don't know if it's an application enrollment agreement, I'm not sure what it is, but the enrollment agreement is supposed to have a place for the student and a school representative to sign, and it appears that it's only a place for the school official to sign and maybe the student to initial, so we will need to add a line for the student to sign.
Yes, ma'am. And that's on page 23 that you're looking at for the enrollment agreement.
Yes, it rolls over into 24, and that's where it says school official signature, but there's no place for the student to sign. And it could just be that it didn't come through on ours. I'm not sure, but just make sure that there's a line for the student to sign there as well.
At the bottom of
Yeah, on your iPad, if you'll shrink it a little bit, you'll see it. It's at the very bottom.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, perfect. It's there. I just didn't see it.
Thank you. No problem.
Sorry, I think I covered the things. That was the remainder of mine. Do you have any other questions or input? Have a motion.
Make the motion to approve with the corrections that Becky stated.
Customary inspections.
Yes.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve with changes and inspections. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Congratulations and good luck with your school.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rucker, and I'll wait for those documents and then we can coordinate the field inspection. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, board members. We will move on. Next on your iPads, this application starts on page 344. This is Skin and Brow. It's a change in location. Ms. Jessica West is participating on the call to answer your questions.
I was on the call. I lost it. So.
Thank you. Give me just a minute. This school is located in Chattanooga. The change in location was presented at the December 2022 board meeting in April and in August. And so I will turn it over to the board members for their review. And I think I gave you a page number. 344 is where it starts.
Thank you for joining us today. That you're waiting with us.
Okay, there we go.
This school is going to be apprentice only.
No, so I actually did an application. What it was in December. At that time, you had to go through the back door of the shop to get downstairs to that the school space. In that time, I was able to. There was an old window that was covered that had a lintel, and so I was able to actually create a separate entrance for that lower floor from the outside. So when you came to inspect that little room that was in the front, there was actually like an old like window there, and I've created a separate entrance. So so now there's like a
complete physical separation for the school program. So
are you going to do both in-person and apprenticeship?
yes, ma'am. Okay.
I have a concern. Let me see if I can locate that for us. Somewhere in here, it's talking about theory can be done online, and it says Monday, Tuesday, and Saturday as instructors are available.
So we spoke about this on the last board meeting, and I was trying to explain because it's been such a delay with the space. I can't ask somebody, to commit to that availability for those days. So I have those instructors that are listed in here, and if one of them is retired and flexible, but I can't really say the exact, they're available, but I can't give like 9 to 2 if, you know what I mean? She's only available, I can't put that in there until I can't employ somebody until I'm approved by the board. Does that make sense? So, for now, I'm committed to being present at the school, and then I would employ one of those instructors to do that online synchronous learning. Does that make sense?
I understand what you're saying, but it is hard for me to wrap my head around approving a school if we don't know what the hours are going to be.
Right. So if we were to open, say, on October 11th, I would be the instructor that would be there Tuesday through Friday for those hours.
So then can you not just put your hours of availability?
Yes, I can add that. And then if the school is approved, after the inspection, then I can be really specific with the synchronous learning, because there are people that, that's going to work better for them if, they have kids or whatever. Do you know what I mean by that?
Right. I'm just having a hard time approving, not knowing what. If you're telling us now that it's going to be, the students can get this many hours, but then you say, well, I've only got somebody that's available 1 hour a day.
Well, no. So what I'm saying is I will be there physically present, but I would like to offer students some flexibility with the synchronous learning with another one of the instructors, but I can't employ them unless I'm approved as a school. Do you see what I mean?
And I think what we need to do is change it to your availability so that we know when the school's going to be open.
I understand.
And then if you make changes to it at a later date, then you can notify the board that these changes
so hours of operation.
Hours of operation change go to you, Roxana? Once we've approved a school.
Generally, the schools, yes, they can let me know if anything has changed, and many of our schools do. They're wonderful about doing that. During the renewal process, these questions are asked. So that's the time where they would change days of the week offered and hours. All that's asked every year.
Gotcha.
In case a school has made a change and forgotten to reach us.
That can be easy once you're approved.
On our 354, let me see what page that is for you.
I think it's page 8 of 38.
It's your page 8. You have 40 to 48 hours per week completed in 6 to 9 months. It looks like it's Tuesday through Friday, sooner if online synchronous instruction time is utilized. So there's a really wide, varied amount there. But it looks like to me, calculating the hours that you have proposed, then 6 to 9 months would give them way too much time. Like it would be 900 and something hours rather than the 750.
So, my goal, realistically, like most people may complete the hours, but they're not going to really complete the program for the testing and all of that, to become licensed. And so there is some overlap with them signing up for PSI. Now it's more efficient, but, previously, I don't want somebody to sign up for the course and think after they complete their hours and you know what I mean, then they're going to be licensed or can apply to the state for licensure. So there's,
you know, like a little bit of time that it takes for them to take the PSI exam.
Okay,
etc.
but to complete the course, you need 750 hours.
Right.
So we need a
Okay.
cutoff date that in
Okay.
this many weeks you can complete 750 hours. That way
Okay.
they're not indefinitely going to school.
Okay.
Because there's
Oh
charges
yeah,
that right.
I understand what you mean.
So you will state your time that you've
Yes,
committed
yes, and
and
that
say,
was yes.
if this is a full-time program and you attend these hours, then in this many weeks you will graduate.
Okay, so we'll go by weeks and not months, and then
You
we can break it down that way. Okay.
And I don't really care if it's in weeks or months. They just have to know.
Yeah, I understand. And then I can put the part about the PSI thing, you know, in there as well.
I think this section is about completing the coursework, has nothing to do with PSI, or am I missing something?
It says the full-time program, 40 to 48 hours a week, completed in 6 to 9 months or less.
It's not about licensure, I guess is what I'm saying.
Right,
So we can leave PSI
Yeah, I'll
out.
clarify that. But sometimes I guess I just don't want people to think that they complete the program and they're licensed. You know what I mean? That it may be, you know, a little bit longer, but I can clarify that in there. That's no problem.
And doesn't include licensure.
Right, correct, yes.
Yeah, unfortunately for us as school, you know, instructors or whatever, a student can graduate and wait 3 years to take their licensure exam.
Yes.
So there's no way to calculate that. We just need to know that 750.
Okay, understood.
Can you point me to, or one of the board members, maybe you all have seen it, the discrimination and anti-harassment policy?
At the bottom. So proof has completed 17 violence.
Page 22 of 38. It's our page 368.
Oh yeah, harassment. Yes, it's at the top of page 22. Yes, correct. Thank you.
I just had overlooked it. Can you point me to your...
It should be page 5. So general, chemical, physical.
Okay,
and it also on to page.
So because you've broken this down, and again, it's not just a copy paste from the curriculum that the board has set forward, you've missed things like OSHA and EPA requirements.
I think those are under down further. There's like the stuff about let's see, occupation. Okay.
There are several words that you have missed that are specific to that. My suggestion for you, get rid of this chart that you made yourself and just copy and paste straight from the state board's website.
Okay. I believe that I put it in there a couple times. So this, but and 27.
I understand that part.
Okay.
I get what you're saying. The sanitation, yes, we do need to see that the school is following sanitary code, but that's not what I'm saying. In your curriculum, you've got it broken down in your curriculum, and in your curriculum, one of the things that you've missed in that curriculum is that you are going to teach the student OSHA and EPA requirements. That is in our curriculum. So if you will just get rid of that box and copy and paste straight from the state board's website, that will help you to get the curriculum perfect. I think that may be all of my notes.
Ron had to step out, so I can move us forward and then turn it over to you, Becky. Any other questions, board members?
I can make a motion that we approve pending those corrections.
Second.
We have a motion by Amy Tankley, a second by Judy McAllister. Any other conversations or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, and congratulations. We have several updates.
Travis coming or a board member again?
Neither at this moment. We have several
Okay.
updates you'll be sending me.
Oh, okay.
Is that
I got it.
correct?
Okay,
I've
so-
written them down. You can watch the videos,
Yes,
take notes.
I've taken notes. Yep, no problem. Okay,
Thank you. Thank you, board members. We will move ahead. Next on your iPad, starting on page 402. This is Jewels and Gems BU University Incorporated. This is a name change only. Ms. Danica Johnson is participating virtually to answer any questions you have. The board members will probably remember if we are doing a name change for the LLC or the incorporated Ps and it's for accreditation purposes, you've given me the permission to approve those so they're not delayed. In this particular case, it is she's provided the business license and it's a true name change for the school. If you have any questions, she'll be happy to answer, but it's a short and simple item.
I'm not familiar with this school. This is, what programs do they offer?
We are a natural hair institute.
Gotcha.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson, for answering. Appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
So nothing else has changed. So if we get that information, we are limiting it to that at this time.
That is it. Yes, that's the only thing the school provides, a business change. And like I said, if it's for accreditation purposes, usually I can get those done fairly quickly without them being presented to the board. So we would need a motion to accept this name change. And it is on page 402 is the application. The school was Jewels and Gems Institute of Beauty. So it's not changing anything other than the name.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the name change.
Second.
We have a motion by Amy Tansley. Was the second by Ms. Anita? Patricia, thank you. It's Patricia. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Johnson. I'll get that to you soon.
You all have a good day.
You too. Board members, we're on to our last school, if it's okay to proceed. On your iPads, that starts on page 404. This is Rogue Aesthetics Academy. It's a new specialty aesthetics school. Ms. Nikisha Autumn is participating to answer any calls you have. This school is located in Kingsport. You have on your iPads the application, floor plan, enrollment agreement, catalog, and contingency plan. Ms. Russell, I will turn it over to you, ma'am.
So as I'm looking at your school, I can see the floor plan. While there are no floor space requirements, I would like to know how much square footage you have in your school and about how many students you plan to take in that space.
Ms. Autumn, are you on the call with us?
I have her.
Dana, is there anyone with a message or a hand raised that maybe is having?
No.
Hello?
Yes.
No, I don't see anybody.
Oh my God, I'm here. Hello?
Oh, there she is. She's speaking now. I didn't see anybody with their hand raised. I apologize.
Thank you, Dana. Welcome, Ms. Nikisha Autumn. It's Roxana, and I'm going to turn you over to Ms. Becky Russell. Thank you.
Okay, did you catch that question, or would you like me to repeat it?
No, I got you. I had answered you, and I was like, oh my gosh, please tell me they can hear me. So I have roughly 5,000 square feet, and I'm looking to eventually add a second instructor and to hold, to be able to accommodate a maximum of 40 students.
Okay. 5,000 square feet is a lot of space. So,
It is a huge.
can you tell me how many weeks or months it takes to graduate and where that's found in your paperwork?
Okay, so I'm offering the aesthetics and the instructors courses. On page 5 of my enrollment agreement, I've got the aesthetics program broke down. I'm only doing part-time and about 25 hours a week, which will come out to be about 7.5 months or 30 weeks.
Okay. And then the one for the instructor program, do you have that breakdown as well? It looks like it's a couple pages over. I think I found it.
Yeah, it's on page 7.
I think that's all I have. This application looked like it was in good order. I was able to find the curriculum perfectly copied from the state board's website, so I don't have anything else for this one.
Sort of the moral of the story this meeting.
And I did let Ms. Autumn know this looked really good, and I present almost anything that they turn in, obviously, but a lot of times it is in really good shape. So I appreciate you saying that as well, Ms. Russell.
I'll make a motion to approve.
A second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Patricia and a second by Monica. All those in favor of approving the school, please say aye. Any opposed? And I apologize, members. Were there any other questions that anyone else had? Okay. Thank you. And congratulations, Ms. Autumn. I think this is...
Thank you.
Absolutely. No updates. You just let me know when you're ready for an inspection. It will be a field inspector, and if a board member is available, one will also be happy to join the inspection. So I appreciate it. Members, if it's
okay, perfect.
Yes, thank you. We're going to start with the legal report, and as you know on your iPads, that's a separate little document. I'll give everybody a minute to switch over. And Mike, thank you for waiting on us and joining us. Turn it over to Mr. Underhill.
Good morning, board. I have 82 cases for you today. One of them is a represent, 11 Barber cases and 70 cosmetology cases, so I will be quiet and entertain any questions the board may have.
Roxanne, can I just ask you a question? You know, there's a lot of unlicensed activity going on, and there's some pretty steep fees. You know, $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 being fined to these shops. Are we collecting that money? Is that happening pretty easily? How does that work?
That's a really good question. Yes, as part of the consent order, whether it's an agreed citation process, you all will remember we have a very strong agreed citation process for those. The case remains open if it isn't paid. So it's something that Michael would deal with. Sometimes they'll work a payment plan out. But if it isn't paid, it remains open. It would go to a formal hearing unless there's a good reason to represent to the board.
Mike, could we take a look at item 17, please? That is. Not sure how we can, how we could even investigate such a thing. I'm not sure that it would be unprofessional conduct for somebody to take a photograph. Or I don't think I see enough context.
Outside of, I mean, basically the complainant is saying that it was done without their consent, and so that was unprofessional of them to do that. I will obviously defer to the board. Rather close that map.
I think I would actually be more comfortable just closing that one because take photographs all the time, even Google Earth or Google Streets going by, and they can get photos.
But to use those, don't you have to have their consent?
Public.
Ron?
Happened inside a private setting. If this happened inside a private setting, then you're certainly entitled to take pictures in your own house. I can see both sides of that discussion. Absolutely, I really can, but I don't think I have enough context here to say the whys and wherefores.
I think if someone's picture's online and they haven't consented to that use, there are other legal outlets that they would probably have to pursue. Is that what you mean, Judy?
Yes.
Sign consent forms.
I guess I operate under the assumption that if we're putting things online or in social media without a client's consent, I fully would expect to hear from that client or their attorney if needed. So we try not to do those things, but I've seen a lot of interesting social media posts lately.
We all have.
So do we want to leave?
I'm not opposed to it just because I think it's interesting for the record. I'm always concerned when I see salons posting material about their clients that I'm not sure their clients know is being used that way. And I realize I'm old and I'm not on the TikTok, as I like to tell my children. But I do think it's helpful for folks in our industry to understand that that is, not considered professional per se.
I'll withdraw that and we can leave it. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You have persuaded me.
My kids ask all the time when I'm going to get the TikTok, and I don't need any more distractions.
I noticed on 25 and then maybe a couple later, something I haven't seen in a bit, but the MMA. Roxana, are we seeing that pop back up again?
It varies. I think we go through stages, and it also could be a field inspector training to look for it, and they're more on top of it as soon as they train, and then over time you're looking at other things possibly. But yeah, it always reappears.
Define MMA.
Methyl acrylate.
Oh, the nail chemicals. Got it. Thank you. I didn't know if we were talking about karate or. I assumed it.
I knew that was where this was
headed.
Sorry. It's interesting to me that that's a consumer complaint, and how many consumers would even know that term. So, but it is extremely important that we keep an eye on that.
And Chairman Gillahan, I mean, usually what I look for is if there is the person filing the complaint has a license number as to whether it's a consumer or competitor or otherwise.
Yeah, similar thing on 35. So. 74. I'm sorry, I had all these on some notes, but were not in my phone. I must have deleted them. 74. We're making Earl here. More than what we do in some cases like this.
Chairman Gillahan, it is, but we've had a history with this individual,
Exactly
and
what I
we're
was
running
gonna ask.
running out of options.
Thought that was going to be. '78 and '79 are not linked, are they?
They are not.
On this 78, was that turned over to the police?
It was.
Are we ready?
I'd like to make a motion to approve pending no changes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve pending the noted changes. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And Mike, thank you once again for all the hard work you do. You've done a great job on these.
Yes, I second that. Thank you, members. We will proceed with our agenda. Next are the applications for examination. These start on page 435, and again, you'll have to switch back to the presentation on your iPads. I'll give you a minute, and I can start that process while you find our 435. You have before you several individuals, Bethany Carricker, Ashanti Glass, and Tanuha Rivers. These applicants have felonies within the last 3 years or are currently incarcerated. The request is for them to take the Tennessee examination to pursue their licensure. You have before you the disclosure information from the individual as well as an instructor or possibly from the facility if they are learning while incarcerated. The board always approves these with an agreed order for a 2-year probationary period. I welcome any questions that you have or changes if you want made to those agreed orders. Otherwise, we would need a motion to proceed.
Did we receive a letter from Miss Rivers herself?
She is incarcerated, and so in those situations, a lot of times it's simply the information from the facility itself. If we need something else from the instructor. Now, what I didn't include here, just because your documents are so many, is the withdrawal document as far as the hours and the information from the instructor themselves.
I just knew that I was accustomed to seeing a letter from the individual, but I noticed that there was not one from her.
And actually, when they are incarcerated, similar to what you have on page 440, it would be the institution that prepares that. A lot of times the inmates just don't have the opportunity, I think, is what it is. In this particular case, we added her at the last minute because I think she's been done with her classes and wanted her to test. I can definitely ask for one, but many times in the institutions, we just get the information about the felony.
Like to make a motion to approve these licenses with the agreed citation orders.
We have a motion and a second to approve these agreed orders. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're on to our miscellaneous requests. We have two for your review today, and they start on page 448. The first item is a request to waive the need to retest. This is pursuant to 0200-01-.10, which states that an applicant must apply and pay for their original license within 6 months after passing the examination. The board has given me the authority for good cause to extend that time frame for an additional 6 months. In this particular case, Mr. Kyler Lee White has provided an explanation of his personal situation and how that impacted the year after he passed the exams. He passed his Master Barber Practical on December 10th, 2021. I'll let the members review. We would need a motion to accept the exams, in which case he would be able to be approved for licensure.
I make a motion to accept the exams.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the exams. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. The next item is a request to waive the need to retest. This is pursuant to Tennessee Code 62-4-114A, which states that a cosmetology instructor shall attend an approved training program of 16 hours every 2 years, and that would be within their renewal cycle. The board may, for good cause, such as a medical hardship or a death in the immediate family, approve such an extension. Ms. Stephanie Smith has provided an email, and this would be the last email received from her, which is on page 452. And then after that, you see several back and forth communications between her and our team. She is explaining health issues that her daughter had dealing with this, which kind of turned back her renewal cycle and made her miss this particular continuing education requirement. Under Rule 0440-01-.15, number 4, an instructor has 60 days after the expiration period for a one-time extension. So I think with both those pieces for the cosmetology statute, generally they ask for these extensions beforehand, and the board has, do you remember, we used to approve them at the meeting. So as long as it's the first time and a one-time, you've given me the authority to extend those. Also keep in mind that so many of our sessions, if not all, are virtual. So that has really helped with this process, but inevitably every now and then it's missed. So we would need a motion if the board is okay accepting this situation, given her explanation.
Make a motion to approve.
Can I ask the question first? If I'm reading this correctly, does this say that this is her second time?
And that is incorrect. I went ahead and pulled her continuing education session. She thought this was her second time. She's always been on time and taken it in early August. I believe her, if I'm remembering her date, her license expires at the end of August. And so she's always taken a session that last summer in August. This particular time, she's already gone to a session in September. And so she's already actually filled the requirement, but it was 2 weeks late. And so that's when she presented the health issues.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries.
And before we leave on to the director's report, we have at least one, maybe two individuals that at this exact session in September had something similar. Now, they were not able to get me the letter to present to you, so I don't know what the good cause is, other than maybe forgot. And the board members has struggled sometimes with that because we've got 2 years to take it and it's available virtually. But what I'd like the members to do, if you are inclined, is give me permission. If the situation is identical, they've never had an extension, there is a good cause reason to extend it. If you're okay with that, then we would be able to renew them without waiting until December, because while they don't meet this requirement, they wouldn't be able to teach. So depending if they're teaching or not, that could be an inconvenience.
We need to make a motion to let you approve that.
If you could, because I'm concerned that this particular session in September had 2 more individuals. They just didn't get us the paperwork.
I make a motion that we let the office approve them to teach.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve under those conditions. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much, board members. We will move on to the director's report, and that is on page 457. The financial information is reflecting this particular fiscal year that closed June 30th. The numbers are as of August. We ended the year with a deficit of $106,453. It still leaves our surplus at $1,153,168. However, none of us wanted to end in a deficit. We were fine last year, so we're not up for self-sufficiency, meaning we're not at a deficit 2 years in a row. However, the program is, seeing some shifts. I think the members are familiar. We also see a good percentage of the low fee income waiver, and that's a great thing. That's for those individuals that need that first license to work and meet the qualifications. Medicaid and food stamps are the most common, so we see that quite a bit. It's probably the program that sees it the most, which is great. But separate from that, some trends, I'm not concerned. I think we're going to see it turn around again, but obviously between cost backs, wage increases to our staff that definitely deserved it. They hadn't seen it in years. And so that was a big study done, and it impacted everyone in our team. And I just think it was fantastic. It impacted legal. And so consequently, it impacts our cost backs as well. We're seeing an increase in the cost to inspect. Our last thing to look at would be increasing fees. So for now, I'm not at all worried. I just think we have to look at it as it gets closer to the next fiscal year.
So if we run a deficit 2 years in a row, we have to go through another planning process?
It's called a self-sufficiency hearing. So we would go before the legislators to answer several questions and explain how we're going to resolve that. Having 9 programs, I've gone on several of those. They're not fun, but they happen, right? Different trends. When licensing goes down, trends in the country may go down. And I can pick on a couple of our examples that's the case. You lose licensing companies. And so in this particular case, our numbers are pretty steady. So it's not a reduction in shops, definitely not schools, or individuals. That's where the bulk of our items are. If you remember, in 2017, we increased the fees. It was $5 per year, so 10 for the 2 renewal cycle for cosmetologists, and that's our big numbers. That's 55,000 individuals. We reduced our barber fees, which was the right thing to do, so that everybody was paying the right amount. We reduced it quite a bit. Same thing with the shops. The barber shops were paying more than the cosmetology. So we're even across the board. I just think we have to see what the finances of the wage increases and benefit increases are going to look like to decide what do we do. But that's what 2 years would do. So we would not be up for self-sufficiency now. When we close fiscal year 2024, that may be a different thing.
Do you think we need to look at raising the fees again?
Not anytime soon. Okay. That would be, I think, everybody's last hope. It's still a and I hate to say that, but it is an inexpensive license. It's $60 for 2 years. Our instructors pay $70, so not a big difference. The schools, again, are not an expensive fee, but there's just so much. And I think the shops have seen, increases to them. They're still changing locations more often than actually getting brand new locations. They're just moving to other existing shops. So go ahead and push your red button.
again.
There you go.
But there you go. But what's the percentage of renewal from existing license? Are we seeing a drop or a consistency with that from year to year?
That is a great question. So we renew 2,000 to 3,000 licenses every single month. That would include the shops and our people, right? The schools are under 100, so we'll kind of leave the schools out. But with individuals, it's a revolving door. Individuals have 3 years to really renew, and we have a high number in that 3-year period. So within the renewal period, they have a penalty of $25 for the cosmetology. The barbers are still different. I'm sorry, we haven't gotten that cleared up, but it is one of the things we want to clean up. They double their penalty. But to your answer, we haven't seen a reduction in those that are renewing. So it's still pretty consistent.
Would it be reasonable to consider to increase the penalty for non-renewal as an incentive to get people to renew on time?
I think that's an option we could look at. That penalty, again, let's assume barbers and cosmetologists were $25. It is a low fee. We have a lot that renew late. So and John will attest to this. And a lot of them get very angry at that late fee. You know, it is a hardship or a problem, and so it's definitely something to consider. I think we'd look at everything if we had to look at fees. But the good thing is that we won't be there. Maybe by the April meeting, we will be closer to that fiscal number and need to see where we fall. Thank you, sir.
David, I received a text just question about late renewal.
On your mic, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, the late renewals do happen. Mostly kind of get lost in their business and miss a deadline, and they do tend to renew. It's been my experience. They do. We have some legal expenses out of this financial report as well, didn't we? Had some.
Oh yes. Yes, we pick up the cost obviously for inspections, right? They've got vehicle costs. All of that is expensive to do, and we continue to inspect every shop every year. New shops change location are urgent, and so sometimes our inspectors take care of those, and maybe we're not as efficient because it's a priority to open our businesses, and so all those things have a cost. But yes, the fee increases across the board are impacting us. I think for the April meeting, if not the February, I plan on having licensing numbers for everyone to look at, so you can see that we're still pretty consistent. We have anywhere from 70 to 80,000 licensees when we count the shops as well. So that's a lot of licenses. And so anything we can streamline, we try to do. That's the plus also to sharing staff with other programs sometimes.
How do our license fees compare to other states?
I think we're pretty along the same place. I think a few states have over $100 as opposed to the 60, so a $100 fee tends to be pretty common. But it's still, compared to other industries, a low fee for licensing. And I think our licensees, if we increased it, that's why we increased it very minimally, just to get us over that 2017 period, to get us back to a positive place. We'd have to see if, $10 was needed or more, but I would hate to see us address that unless we really see that there's nothing else. Nothing else has leveled off.
What is the cost to get the initial school license?
The initial school is $350.
And to renew it is how much?
It's $150. So it's not that much. Now, I will let the board know that, again, the low fee income waiver has impacted some schools, not our majority. But if you look at the application close enough at the bottom, if they're saying yes to the low income, that fee then is waived. And the same applies to shops. So when shops are opening and getting their first license, if they meet that requirement and are a sole proprietor, then that fee is waived.
And that's just the initial fee, not the renewal.
The renewals are not waived, absolutely.
How are things going with the core system? I know all that was updated, and
That's a great question. So also talking about funds and money, right? We've picked up over the years, definitely since 2017, several additional expenses that have had to do with technology. So the recent technology and others, we believe, are going to be able to come off the bottom line, that surplus. So if that's the case, it wouldn't impact our financial numbers at the end of fiscal year. Core is doing much better. The release was May 20 or June 26th.
Recent.
Oh, maybe August.
Yeah.
Recent. Okay.
Yeah.
It has felt really long. But August 26th was the release, and we're at a much better place. Remember that this release is going to impact everyone for 2 years, because as you renew, whenever your renewal is, it's a new world to you. So, however, we've learned to troubleshoot it better. We've learned to answer the calls faster, get the errors reduced. So I think it's doing better. And I think our licensees will definitely like it. It'll work on your phone a lot smoother. You'll be able to get some updates on licensing information through our public site. So it's a cloud. And so not to get in the weeds with technology, but we think long term it's really going to be a plus to everyone. Like all technology, that first initial change has some issues. Now, the good thing is our cosmetology schools that several of you know all renew at the same time. 3 did not, and so they would have to be reinstated. But, various email reminders and everything we can do. So chances are those schools, again, didn't have any students, weren't reporting hours, so that should all be good. But where I was going with that, of the 84 schools that needed to renew, only 1 had a real issue renewing, where the questions were causing a problem. The rest were able to identify themselves, get a new password, and go on in to answer all the questions. So I think, and our shops are pretty much doing the same thing. We've seen a slight increase in calls and emails, but I think as we work out the kinks and the errors, that'll go down.
I'm glad this conversation came up in the first place. I'm up for renewal this month myself. I went onto Core last week because I'm a school owner, and I guess my emails or my contact is associated with the school. It's not allowing me to access my personal records. Okay. So I'm probably going to be sending Mr. John an email here next week and see if I can get sorted out on that a little bit.
I'm laughing. I couldn't access mine either. So I'll be calling your office too, but I have a different, I'm just laughing through it. Yeah.
I got through just fine.
If you're associated, that's where we're
I have
finding
2 different
the issue.
emails. So
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Sure.
yeah.
A couple of instructors have contacted me with a similar question. They weren't upset. They weren't having problems. They just, what do I need to do? So you might get a couple of emails soon. But overall, the students that we've put into the system after they've tested and are ready for the licensure, it seems to be going very much better. Okay. Anything new we need to hear about PSI?
Just this weekend, they brought on several new sites. Knoxville seems to be a very popular area for exams. They were running behind. So Sean, of course, has taken over Lynn Thomas's area. And so he added seats, I'll call them, to the different sites. The online virtual exam seems to be going well. I think the industry's really liking the theory online, not so much maybe as far as numbers testing virtually for the practical exam, which I think we can all understand. But the downside to that is they still need a proctor for the exam. So although it has open times and dates, you still need a warm body to watch the exam. So I know that they're doing their best. Anytime, and I say this to school owners, instructors, if you're stuck and there's no response, our pet peeve is we answer emails and phone calls. There's that has a bad domino effect when they're not answered, and I think they're still trying to sort that out. So
it appears from the calls I'm getting that the theory portions are coming off pretty smooth. Sometimes they have a little difficulty getting into the system, getting registered in, but on the practicals, I'm seeing multiple weeks, 6-8 weeks or longer wait times on the practicals.
And Ron, if you get the call and they're not coming to me, and that goes to any board members, let them know to reach me. PSI is really good about adding new locations and
Sure.
new dates and seats and moving them around, but they have to know. And I don't know that their Zendesk, they use the same system we do, that it's really filtering and making sure that they're responded to. And that's where the frustration comes
There's a
in.
little disconnect there between, the Tennessee Help Desk versus their general answering system. And if we can get, generally, when I help folks through that, once or twice, 3 times a week sometimes, I'll call Sean or Tammy or some of the folks in the office, and they have bent over backwards to help, and they've made all sorts of accommodations. But again, it's trying to get to them. Every owner, have that same.
Are those testing sites inspected at all by us to make sure they're in compliance
No, sir.
with the contract?
They're not. Now, if there's a complaint, then obviously those hopefully come to me, so I'm aware that there's a complaint. PSI then would have to answer to us as well as the individual. We on occasion get the angry student that's sure they should have had 100, right? And they got a 69. And so, and they remember everything that was said and done, and are certain that PSI is wrong. And then PSI records everything. So they do have to review the video and make sure that the proctor was right and all those things. But we don't inspect them. That's a private business.
How many testing sites do they have in the state?
That's a good question. I think 8, if not, because we have the practical locations separate from the theory. But they're in the Grand Divisions. Johnson City has a location, and so and you can test virtually. So that changed February 2022. The schools that have the space, and it doesn't have to be the school. If you wanted to test in your home, you could. You just need a computer with a camera and an audio. But some of the schools that have an extra room have been doing that, is offering the student that ability to be in a closed room. It's a one-on-one. You can't have multiple students there. And so that, I think, has helped, but it still hasn't helped PSI from the perspective that they're down staff as well.
When they're testing in a school, and again, please forgive me for being dumb, but if they're testing in the school, do we have any issues with conflict of interest with who's monitoring the testing?
We are not monitoring. So PSI.
I realize we're not, but I'm
Right.
saying with PSI contracting, say, with the school owner.
They don't
or
contract
one
with
of the
the school owner.
instructors.
So if Mr. Gillahan chose that he has a room, it's his decision to open the room to his students. He's not in the room with the exam. He's just letting the student borrow the space and the computer.
David, PSI, I was involved in some of that development. So PSI has security protocols with this. Essentially, the student is in a room with a table and a chair. Made of the entire. They don't contract with the schools, as Roxana said. That is between. Once that door is closed, the security protocols for that are such that they can tell if the student I had a student watches no, but when he had technical difficulties and they had him keep his cell phone there to test his test.
Ron, your mic. Thank you.
It said his test was complete and that he'd passed. And all of a sudden, he reached to pick up his phone. It shut him off, and it flagged him as a cheat protocol. And they no possibility of cheating, no possibility of changing anything. It was completed and submitted. But even that, looking around the room,
Ron, I just wanted to let you know if you're having long test dates for barbering. I just recently found out that there were no test dates available for barbering in Knoxville. And we were back and forth on the phone. And so they, for whatever reason, their system said that there was no Knoxville Test Center, which, of course, I was able to verify it. Indeed, there is one, I promise. But because of that, I think that a lot of those folks ended up testing in Nashville, which would have made fewer dates available for Nashville.
on the virtual programs, they generally can pull proctors from anywhere in the country. So since they're all online, typically when you, I do this almost every contact PIS, help desk. Very difficult to get past that. But if you do, it's okay. And I don't want to sound like I'm picking on PSI. Sean, the director, Alan, the folks who are implementing this program are doing yeoman's work. They are trying to get this to a better place than it has been, and it is something I think extremely valuable to our graduates, to our licensees. I think that due to staff, as we all can understand, it's been very difficult to maintain those levels of staff to proctor the large number of students they have with all the states now. So that's no excuse for anybody, but it's hard to improve it. They've never failed to try to assist us as rapidly and as best as they possibly could. It is a little inconvenient from time to time, but I remember, well, Moses was a boy when I started this. Experian was a previous company, and the test was administered once per quarter, and it was at one of the grand divisions at each of those quarters. And if you graduated today and the test was tomorrow, you'd have to wait to the next quarter before you could be considered. And then you're competing against all sales, all the graduates. So not uncommon. I was trying real. They'll have some kinks to work out, but they're moving in the right direction. As difficult as it is individually some days. So. Do we have any further business to come before the board before I ask for any public comments?
Scared everybody off, Ron.
Wear them down. I did not notice anybody signed in for public comments on the table in the back, and I don't know if anybody's online with us.
And I'll make sure under new business, as you mentioned, we've made sure to give time for the public or anyone participating. Our members in person have had to go back to school, but those remotely, if they've got any questions as it relates to the agenda. Dana, do we have anyone that has a question or anything regarding the agenda from today's meeting?
I'm not seeing anybody with their hand raised and no messages either.
Thank you, ma'am. Chairman Gillihan, I think we are good as far as new business, and I'll turn it back to you.
Anything else to come before? All right, do we need a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Thank you, board members. We are adjourned. Thank you so much for all you do.
This meeting is no longer being recorded. This meeting is no longer being transcribed.
See you Christmas. I know. Right? Can y'all believe it's Christmas again?